It is 5 p.m. You look at the clock, and a cold, sinking feeling settles in your chest. You have been at your desk for 8 hours. You replied to dozens of emails. You sat through 3 Zoom meetings that definitely could have been emails. You responded to every Slack notification within seconds to prove you were online. You were busy. You were exhausted. But when you look at your actual to-do list, the things that truly matter, the big projects that move the needle for your life, are untouched. You realize with a heavy heart that you did not actually do anything today. Why does this happen to us? Why do we feel like we are running on a hamster wheel, sweating and panting, but never actually moving forward? It is because we are drowning in the shallows. We live in an age of infinite distraction, where our attention is the commodity and everyone is buying. When you sit down to write that novel, or code that app, or study for that certification, your phone lights up. A group chat notification, a breaking news alert, a sudden urge to check if that person watched your Instagram story. Before you know it, 20 minutes have vanished into the void. We have confused motion with action. We have confused being busy with being productive. And our brains, those ancient survival engines, actually prefer the easy stuff. They love the dopamine hit of crossing off a small, meaningless task like answer email. But deep down, you know this is a trap. You know that spending a year answering emails effectively will not change your life. But spending a year mastering a rare skill, that changes everything. To escape this trap, we need to talk about a concept that is quickly becoming the superpower of the 21st century. It is a philosophy from a Georgetown professor and computer scientist named Cal Newport. The concept is called deep work. So, what exactly is deep work? Newport defines it as professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their limit. It is the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. It is the difference between being a light bulb that flickers on and off and a laser beam that cuts through steel. The opposite of this is shallow work. These are non-cognitively demanding, logistical-style tasks, often performed while distracted. It is checking your inbox every 10 minutes. It is formatting a document rather than writing it. It is the busy work that the world throws at you to keep you compliant. The problem is, in our modern economy, shallow work is easy to replicate. Artificial intelligence can do shallow work. Anyone can do shallow work. If your day is filled with things that can be easily automated or outsourced, you are in a precarious position. But there is a fascinating biological reason why deep work changes you, and it comes down to a substance in your brain called myelin. In the book, The Talent Code, the author explores the neuroscience of skill acquisition. Every time you fire a specific neural circuit, say, practicing a complex line of code or writing a difficult paragraph, you are sending an electrical signal through your brain. If you do this with intense, unbroken focus, special cells called oligodendrocytes wrap layers of myelin around that neural circuit, like insulation around a copper wire. The more myelin you have, the faster and cleaner the signal travels. This is how masters are made. But here is the catch. If you are constantly switching tasks, if you are looking at your phone while trying to work, that circuit never fires cleanly. You never build the myelin. You remain perpetually average. Deep work is not just a productivity hack. It is the only way to physically rewire your brain to become elite at what you do. And let's be honest about the world we are living in right now. The economy is shifting beneath our feet. Cal Newport argues that in this new world, 3 groups of people are going to win while everyone else falls behind. The first group is the high-skilled workers. These are the people who can work with intelligent machines and complex systems. They are not just using the software, they are building the algorithms that run the software. The second group is the superstars. In a remote work world, you are no longer just competing with the guy in the cubicle next to you. You are competing with the best talent in the world. If you are a programmer, a writer, or a designer, and you are just okay, there is someone in a different time zone who is great and costs less. To be a superstar, you must produce work that is impossible to ignore. The third group is the owners. These are the people with the capital to invest in the new technologies. Now, most of us are not born into the third group, but the first two groups, the high-skilled workers and the superstars, those are accessible to us. But the price of admission is the ability to learn hard things quickly and to produce at an elite level. And you simply cannot do that if you are checking TikTok every 6 minutes. Deep work gives you two core abilities. First, it allows you to master hard things quickly. In a world where technology changes every 6 months, the ability to learn is more valuable than what you actually know right now. Second, it allows you to produce at an elite level in terms of both quality and speed. This is how you create value that is hard to replicate. This is how you become indispensable. But beyond the money, beyond the career success, and beyond the hustle, there is a deeper, more spiritual reason to embrace this lifestyle. It is about the quality of your inner life. We often think happiness comes from relaxation, from sitting on a beach doing nothing. But have you ever noticed that after a whole day of scrolling on your phone or binge-watching a show you do not even like, you feel empty? You feel a strange, low-level anxiety. This is where deep work connects with the concept of flow. There is a concept in psychology that explains why some days feel like a heavy burden, while others feel light and effortless, even when you are working harder. It comes from the legendary psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. He called this state flow. Flow is that magical zone where the rest of the world melts away. You know the feeling. Maybe you were fixing a car engine, or painting a canvas, or writing a complex piece of code. You looked up, and 3 hours had passed in what felt like 3 minutes. You forgot to eat. You forgot to check your phone. You forgot yourself. Csikszentmihalyi discovered something profound. The best moments in our lives do not happen when we are passive, relaxing, or consuming content. They happen when our body or mind is stretched to its limits in a voluntary effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile. We have been sold a lie by modern society. We are told that happiness is the absence of work. We dream of the weekend, of retirement, of sitting on a beach doing absolutely nothing. But have you ever noticed that when you actually have a week with nothing to do, you do not feel blissful? You feel listless. You feel the existential dread creeping in. Think about your own life. Recall those evenings when you dragged yourself home from a job where you spent 8 hours fighting fires, answering pointless emails, and dealing with office politics. You were exhausted, yes, but you also felt hollow. It was a spiritual fatigue. Now, contrast that with a day where you worked intensely on a passion project. Maybe you spent 6 hours renovating your house or writing the first chapter of your book. You were physically tired, but your spirit was soaring. You felt alive. That is the power of deep work. It is not just about productivity, it is about meaning. So, if we know this state exists, and we know it makes us happy, how do we build a life around it? We cannot just hope for flow to strike us like lightning. We have to design for it. Cal Newport outlines 4 specific philosophies, 4 distinct architectural blueprints for integrating deep work into your life. You need to choose the one that fits your reality. The first is the monastic philosophy. This is the most extreme approach. Imagine a monk in a monastery or a science fiction writer in a cabin in the woods. You eliminate almost all shallow obligations. You have no email address. You do not have social media. You disappear from the world to do your work. This is incredibly effective. But for most of us living in the city with bills to pay and families to care for, it is simply not realistic. The second is the bimodal philosophy. This is the strategy of the psychologist Carl Jung. He would spend part of his time in a stone tower in the woods, completely isolated, doing deep thinking. Then, he would return to Zurich to teach classes, see patients, and be a social human being. In a modern context, this might look like a teacher who writes furiously during the summer break, but focuses on students during the school semester. You split your life into clearly defined seasons of deep engagement and shallow maintenance. The third is the rhythmic philosophy. This is likely the best fit for most of us. This is about turning deep work into a simple, unbreakable daily habit. It is the Seinfeld strategy. Don't break the chain. You set a specific time, say from 6 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. every single morning. You do not wait for inspiration. You treat it like a scheduled meeting with yourself. Over time, your brain learns that this specific hour is for deep focus, and you slip into that state faster and faster. The fourth is the journalist philosophy. This is for the adrenaline junkies. It is named after the journalist Walter Isaacson, who could switch into deep focus mode at a moment's notice. He would write a few paragraphs of a biography while waiting for a friend to arrive at dinner or during a 20-minute subway ride. This requires immense mental discipline because you have to pivot from distraction to depth instantly. For a beginner, this is incredibly difficult, but it is a superpower if you can master it. Whichever philosophy you choose, there is one universal rule. You must be intentional. You cannot just say, "I will work deep today." That is a wish, not a plan. You need to create a ritual. In the book, there is a concept often associated with the grand gesture, making a radical change to your environment to force focus. But on a daily level, it is about creating a time block or a sanctuary. Try this experiment tomorrow. Wake up 1 hour earlier than usual. This is your sacred hour. The world is asleep. The stock market is closed. No one is posting on Instagram. Leave your phone in the other room. Literally, physically, separate yourself from it. Sit down at a clean desk. Turn off the Wi-Fi on your laptop if you do not need it. And just sit there with your work. At first, it will be uncomfortable. Your brain, addicted to the dopamine of notifications, will scream for a distraction. It will itch. But if you push through that first 15 minutes of boredom, you will find something beautiful on the other side. You will find silence. And in that silence, you will find your best work. But building the habit is only half the battle. To truly sustain this lifestyle, you need a system to track your progress, and, counterintuitively, you need to relearn how to be bored. To truly master this way of living, we have to talk about something that sounds incredibly boring, but is actually the secret to consistency. It is the power of visual feedback. We often rely on willpower to get us through the day, but willpower is a battery, and it drains fast. Systems, however, never get tired. There is a simple method mentioned in the book, often attributed to the comedian Jerry Seinfeld. When he was a young comic, his goal was to write better jokes. And the only way to write better jokes, he reasoned, was to write every single day. So, he bought a huge wall calendar that showed the whole year on one page and hung it on a prominent wall. Every day that he sat down and wrote, he would put a big red cross over that date. After a few days, he had a chain. His only job was simple: don't break the chain. This sounds primitive, but it taps into our brain's desire for continuity. When you are trying to build a deep work habit, say, writing for 90 minutes every morning, do not trust your feelings. Get a physical calendar. Mark that X. Seeing a streak of 10 or 20 days gives you a sense of identity. You stop being someone who is trying to focus, and you become someone who does focus. It is a subtle shift, but it changes everything. But here is where most high achievers crash and burn. They think deep work is an endurance sport. They think if 4 hours is good, then 8 hours must be double the success. But the research shows something different. Even the most elite violinists, grandmasters, and writers can only sustain true, high-intensity focus for about 4 hours a day. After that, the returns diminish, and the quality suffers. Your brain is not a machine, it is a muscle. And like any muscle, it needs rest to grow. This brings us to the hardest challenge for the modern mind: relearning how to be bored. We are terrified of boredom. Think about your average day. You are standing in line at a coffee shop. What do? You pull out your phone. You are stopped at a red light. You glance at your notifications. You are in an elevator for 30 seconds. You scroll through social media. We have trained our brains to view any moment of non-stimulation as a crisis that must be solved immediately. You might say, so what? I am just killing time. But you are not just killing time. You are killing your ability to concentrate. When you constantly bombard your brain with quick hits of dopamine every time you feel a moment of stillness, you are literally rewiring your neural pathways to crave distraction. You are teaching your brain that it never has to endure a lack of input. So, when you finally sit down to do that deep, difficult work, and the going gets tough, your brain panics. It screams for that phone check. It screams for that tab switch. If you want to go deep, you have to embrace the dull moments. Next time you are waiting in line at the grocery store, try something radical. Keep your phone in your pocket. Just stand there. Look around. Let your mind wander. It will feel uncomfortable, almost itchy. But that discomfort is your brain relearning the patience required for greatness. There is also a physiological cost to this constant switching. It is called attention residue. When you switch from writing a report to checking a quick text message, your attention does not instantly snap back. A part of your brain is left behind, still processing that text. You are effectively operating with a fraction of your cognitive power. If you do this all day, you are working in a state of permanent mental fog. So, how do we escape this cycle? We need to treat our recovery as seriously as our work, and that begins with how we end our day. If you are like most people, you do not really end your work day. You just sort of stop. You close your laptop, but your mind is still churning. You are cooking dinner, but you are worrying about that email you forgot to send. You are trying to sleep, but you are planning tomorrow's meeting. This low-level anxiety prevents true restoration. Cal Newport suggests a shutdown ritual. It works like this. At the end of your workday, take 10 minutes to review everything. Look at your inbox. Look at your to-do list. Then write down a specific plan for the next day. Write down exactly what you will do first thing in the morning. This closes the open loops in your brain. Once the plan is written, say a termination phrase out loud to yourself, something like, shut down, complete. It sounds cheesy, I know, but it is a psychological trigger. It tells your subconscious, we are safe. The work is accounted for. You can relax now. This allows you to fully disengage. And it is in that state of full relaxation, whether you are walking in the park, listening to music, or just staring at the ceiling, that your subconscious mind goes to work connecting the dots. That is why your best ideas always come to you in the shower, not while you are stressing at your desk. Ultimately, deep work is not just about getting more done. It is about reclaiming your autonomy. We live in an attention economy that is designed to mine your focus for profit. They want you anxious, distracted, and clicking. To choose depth is an act of rebellion. It is a decision to curate your own life, to build things that matter, and to find peace in a noisy world. So, here is my question for you tonight. When was the last time you spent 2 hours completely alone with your own thoughts, without a screen? If you cannot remember, maybe it is time to start your own chain. We are the Underdog Podcast, and we are here to help you navigate this complex world with a little more clarity and a little less noise. If this conversation sparks something in you, hit that like button. It helps us find more people like you. And do not forget to subscribe so we can continue these late night chats. Until next time, shut down completely and go deep.